So I saw this deficit, so to speak, in clinical counseling, deficit in the one type of biblical counseling known as nouthetic counseling. And I went, yeah, look, there's got to be a better way. And so the Lord really kind of showed me some things, and I pulled a whole bunch of stuff together, and we developed holistic biblical counseling. And we look at the whole person. Mental health as a concept is very, very ambiguous.
Yeah.
Because it can mean a whole bunch of different things. A lot of what people call mental health is actually spiritual health. It's immaterial. It's our thought processes. It's all of that. Another component of what's under the umbrella of mental health is brain function, brain structure,
chemistry, that kind
chemistry.
of stuff.
That's not my purview.
Got it.
I stay out of that lane. I know that's not.
So is that the
I don't deal with
clinical
that.
side of it? Do they
No.
touch that?
Here's the thing. Clinical side does both.
Okay.
Okay. But even a clinical counselor can't, as far as I'm aware, cannot prescribe medications. That would be psychiatrist.
Got it.
Okay. So while they are familiar with all of that kind of stuff,
still another person has
as far as I'm aware, they still have to refer out.
Got it.
To someone who has that medical background for that.
Who can do the testing and figure out exactly.
Right. But see, even I have to do that.
Sure.
If I suspect that there's a brain structure problem with somebody's had a lot of concussions or something, they might need some brain scans.
What are you trying to say?
Like, okay, so we've got that umbrella, but then there's also a third component, and this component gets dealt with in the church, and people will have their own ideas of whether this is a positive thing or a negative thing. I'll try to refrain from putting it in either light. But there's deliverance ministry. And deliverance ministry is very focused on satanic attacks of people. Now, here's the thing. I've studied enough to know that it's not just one of these things that needs to be addressed.
Interesting. Yeah.
You have to look at all of them and go, okay, which one or which ones are going on here so that we can help this person. And if it's just a spiritual problem, and maybe they've believed a lot. Let's say that you had a parent growing up who was very demeaning, and in that moment growing up, or that time frame of your life, you consistently felt dismissed. Well, now what happens inside is, I'm not as valuable as other people. And what happens inside is, my feelings don't matter as much as others. My needs don't matter as much as others. And then we have this outlook on life, not just towards our parent that created this in us, but towards everybody. And any number of coping mechanisms will go along with that. Some people will go into people pleasing, and there are just all these things that can happen. And that's just one thing. And so while that may have been a seed from Satan, maybe, I mean, he flings arrows at us, but that's a life circumstance that caused a deep spiritual wound.
Sure.
That's a spiritual wound. That's not a brain function thing. I'm not saying it can't affect brain function, but that's a spiritual wound that needs to be healed. And so we look at those things, and the good news is there's actually a way to heal those things. And that's what we do.